Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible channel, Dreams of Zion. My program where I tell short stories pretty much on as I make them up on air, or as I record it. And these stories are designed to inspire in you the same dream of Zion that I have. Now, Zion that I'm talking about is the fulfillment of the prophecy of Israel, which foretells the creation of a new nation called Zion in a mass exodus, like the exodus of Israel from Egypt in the days of Moses. So, for the sake of this storyline, we've already had our revolution. Okay, it's like the nation of Zion already exists. The gray aliens have already made contact, and there's a new society forming in Zion. Now, in Zion, they don't use money. Now, Emily's parents don't did not go to choose Zion. They didn't choose. They stayed in America. So she graduates from high school and she turns 18 and she has to choose between American college that will indebt her for pretty much most of her life and going to Zion, the newly created nation. She chooses Zion because she knows me. And she knows that I have plans in Zion to conserve species, which is what she wants to do. And she also knows that if she goes to Zion, she'll never have to worry about money at all. So she chooses Zion. She packs her bags and she goes to the newly created nation of Zion. She gets to the border of Zion and they ask her what her business is. She says, "Well, my name is Emily. I'm the inspiration for the story, The Tale of Two Cats. And I just turned 18 and I'm coming and I want to be a zoologist, just like the story." And the border gate is like, "That is so cool. Okay, let me do it. Let me check this out." So he gets on his computer and he types in a few things. He says, "Well, okay, here are the coordinates for your dorm." "My dorm?" She says. "Yes, ma'am. They have a spot waiting for you just in case you ever decided to come because Zion just loves you." And she's like, "Wow." So off she goes to the location of her guild. Now, her guild college is in, we'll say Golden, Colorado, just because I have to pick a place. So I'm going to say Golden. So she goes to Golden, and she goes to the coordinates given to her, which is on the college campus in Golden, which has been revamped into the zoological college because that's the home of the science guild. So she settles in, and she is given an entrance exam, and she is set a course. She's given a place to live in a dorm with other girls about her age that are doing the same thing. And she is just immediately entered into, just becomes a part of the society where she doesn't have to worry about anything except for her studies. Now, just like any other college student, she has to cram for exams, she has to do her studies, she has to take her courses, she has to learn everything she is. But she's taught by consummate professionals who have been who have done this for a living their entire lives. And she's taught aspects that aren't taught in this society. And one of the courses that really amazes her, and as she is ready to graduate into her fields, into her field work, she takes a class called the empathic way, which teaches that the leader of each field unit is an empath, somebody who has the unique ability to communicate spiritually with all of life. And this just fascinates her because that is an aspect that is not taught in this society. But she wonders how that's going to work. Now, she herself, and this is relevant, doesn't use drugs. Therefore, she is not a telepath herself. But she does have telepathic abilities because we all do. So, she doesn't use drugs. And part of this class teaches that if you want to become telepathic, you use drugs. That's how you activate that part of your genome. But she doesn't have that. That's not anything that she's interested in. I don't know if she is or not. It doesn't matter. In the story, she's not. So anyway, she takes this class and she graduates from it. And it's like she's shown examples of it. Wow, that is just really cool. But anyway, she doesn't think she has any abilities and she's not really interested in it. However, she does have latent abilities that she doesn't know about. So she graduates from her course, and it's probably been about 4 years since she started her courses, and she finally gets to go into the field. Now she is specialized in the big cats, and when her time comes to actually be assigned to a retrieval team, she's chosen to go to Siberia to retrieve some white Siberian tigers. And so, her and her team get into their spaceship, and in about 5 seconds, in next to no time, they're in Siberia. So they land their ship. Now, they've been trained in their courses how to move within the environment so as not to disturb it. Now, they set up their base camp with their ship, and they have everything ready for the retrieval before the operation begins. Now, the leader of the expedition, the empath, separates herself from the camp. Now, she has sensed the whereabouts of the cat prior to landing, and the landing site was actually chosen as the closest available space for landing in the vicinity of the cat. So she just simply separates herself energetically from the rest of the camp. She walks off by herself. Now, it takes a few minutes, but she just stands there. Emily watches her and doesn't really see anything happening. Is like, oh, okay. So, pretty soon, a white Siberian tiger comes out of the edge of the tree and slowly walks up to the empath, sits down, and through gestures, Emily perceives that they're having a conversation because the cat is moving its head this way and nodding its head that way, moving its head that way, and shaking its head that way, and obviously having a conversation. And then the cat gets up and walks away. And the empath comes back to the camp and says, okay, we have to reconfigure things. Because that's mother cub. She's got 2 cubs coming in with her. And the male is in the vicinity. And she's going to go have a conversation with him. So we need to make a separate enclosure for him. So everybody scrambles. And while they're reconfiguring everything to make room for the cubs and the father, Emily just, the minute she hears the word cubs, she lights up like a candle, empathically. Because the thought of cubs, wild cubs, just electrified her. She thought how beautiful they were going to be, how much fun it would be to play with them, and how she would just love to spend the rest of her life just watching them grow up. And all that thought only took a couple of seconds. But in her mind, she kind of played this scenario out. And then the cubs and the mother come into her field of vision. And she just lights up all over again because there they are. They're so beautiful. I want to play with them. And the cubs both stop and turn and look her straight in the face. Cock their heads off to the side and look at each other. And the mother looks at them and looks at Emily. And she walks over to the empath and starts talking. And the cubs start walking towards Emily determinedly. The mother and the empath kind of intersect the cubs halfway. And the empath goes, Emily, would you please come here? And Emily is like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe this. And she's just awed by the whole experience. So she walks up, and the two cubs just come walking up to her, just almost, it's like they're holding themselves back, and she can see this. And the empath goes, Emily, the mother and the cubs are very impressed with your energy. The cubs can sense how much you really, really love them and want to play with them, and they want to play with you too. And the mother senses your total joy and desire for protecting these cubs. And she wants you to be their human surrogate, their human mother. And Emily just stands there, just shocked. And she just wants to scream with joy, but she just is afraid to because she's in front of these cats. And she just like drops. And the cats just come up to her and just like barrel into her and just knock her over and lick her face. And they paw, and and she just is, she plays with the cubs. She doesn't even answer really because the answer is evident to everybody in the camp. So from that moment on, Emily adopts or is adopted by the family of the Siberian Tigers. She plays with the cubs, gets to know them. She gives them their human names, the names that she chooses for them. And she is the one that they follow into the spaceship. She gives them welcome into their new home and the environment. And from that moment on, the mother just totally treats her as a sister and as the surrogate. So Emily spends the rest of her life being the companion of these two cubs. Hence the story title, The Tale of Two Cats. Because her life is saving these two cats and raising them and caring for them until they are once again in a position to be freed into a new world where no one will ever harm them, where they will always be given a sacred space of their own within to reside. So Emily's entire life is dedicated to the preservation of this species through these two cubs. And eventually she watches them mate up with other saved cats to perpetuate the species. So Emily's happily ever after is being the mother of two Siberian kittens. So may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice when we get to camp. Stay happy and high if you use drugs. You have every right and reason to. Believe me, I know. I wrote 2 books about it. My name is Zion. I love you way too much to ever say goodbye, so I'm gonna stay later now.